Congratulations, you've just found the #1 over 50 health and wellness podcast on the planet. Hello and welcome to the Over 50 Health and Wellness Show. I'm your host, Kevin English. I'm a healthy aging expert and I'm the founder of the Silver Edge, and I am on a mission to help men and women just like you build lean, strong, healthy, capable bodies they love for the rest of their lives. Today, we've got something super special lined up for you. My guest co-host today is none other than the incredible Coach Jess from the Silver Edge, and today we're diving deep into the world of strength training for folks just like you. Men and women over 50 who are ready to take charge of their health and build the leanest, strongest, most vital version of themselves. So whether you're a total newbie to the gym or just getting back into the swing of things, we're breaking down everything you need to know to get started, stay motivated, and see some real lasting results. We're talking tips, tricks, and everything in between to help you become a fat-burning, muscle-building machine. And of course, we'll be sharing some inspiring client success stories that'll have you pumped and ready to hit the weights. So whip up your favorite protein shake, get comfy, and let's jump right in. Hey folks, Coach Kevin here, and I have got some exciting news that I just can't wait to share with you. If you're over 50 and you're looking to burn fat, build muscle, and boost your metabolism, then listen up because we've just launched something that's going to change the game for you. Introducing the Lean Body Blueprint Workout. This is the 24-week workout program specifically designed for men and women over 50 who are ready to take their fitness to the next level. This isn't just another generic workout plan. Instead, this is your step-by-step guide to building the lean, strong, and healthy body you've always wanted without any of the fads or one-size-fits-all nonsense. The program is broken into 5 phases, each one building on the last, so you're always progressing, always getting stronger, and always moving closer to your goals. And the best part? It's all delivered through our custom app, so you can track your workouts, monitor your progress, and crush your fitness goals all in one place. Now, here's where it gets really good, because we're offering this complete program for a special introductory price of only $49. Yep, that's right, $49. You get 24 weeks of professionally crafted, age-appropriate workouts, all designed to help you burn fat, build muscle, and rev up your metabolism just for $49. But hurry, because that price won't last long. So, if you're ready to take the guesswork out of your workout and finally build the body you deserve, head over to silveredgefitness.com and sign up today. All right, enough of that. Let's get into today's episode. Coach Jess, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be back.
Yeah,
It's been a
like having
while.
you back. Yeah. So here's the deal. I told Monica last episode, can't remember if I told Russell this or not, but you guys, Monica and Russell, are no longer guests. You are now officially co-hosts. So for those that don't know, Coach Jess is one of the amazing coaches here at the Silver Edge. You may have heard her if you're new to the show. You probably haven't, but if you're a return listener, you may have heard her on some of our previous episodes. So Jess, what's going on? What's new with you?
Not much. Or a lot. It's been a busy summer.
Yeah.
Kids are home. For those that don't know, I have 2 boys. They're 10 and 13 and pretty active. And we've been traveling and keeping up with sports and practices and friends and all of those things. So
Yeah,
it's
that'll
just,
keep you busy, huh?
yes. School goes
So
back in 2 weeks from today.
I
So
was just getting ready to say, are you
yeah,
looking forward to school going back and kind of that new routine?
I am. I love having them home. It's fun and they're growing up so fast, but it's about this time where I start to crave that routine again. And I think
Yeah.
they do too. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will tell you what's up with me. I did, and you probably already know this, I did the Intergalactic Body Surfing Championship known as Wamparama last weekend.
Yes. I
So,
wanted to ask you about that. That looked
yeah.
fun.
So I had a blast. Of course, we had Alex Torres, who is he is the founder of that and he runs that. It's a charity event, body surfing championship they do in Carolina Beach, North Carolina every year. It's usually in August. This was the 13th year they did that. I
Oh,
can't believe it's
wow.
been that many years.
Yeah.
I have not done all 13. I think those first couple of years, I didn't know it was a thing, but I've done them every year since. And what I love about it is somewhere probably 6, 7, 8 years ago, some old guy, it wasn't me, another old guy was in there complaining about not having an old guy division, old person division. And he said something along the lines of, hey, you need an old as dirt division. And that was the birth of the old as dirt
Oh,
division. So I am happy to report I am the reigning oldest dirt champ. I did manage to hang on to first place again this year. So
That's
every year,
great.
yeah, every
Yeah.
year we've had that division. I've won it every year except for one. I got second place one year. So I am officially talking smack to all my other oldest dirt competitors. I'm already talking smack for next year. So yeah, it is a blast. It's a lot of fun. We had a bunch of competitors this year. We actually had some decent surf this year. So
Well, that storm probably
the
helped.
storm, yeah, we had Tropical
Hurricane
Storm
Debbie. Yeah.
Debbie kind of blow through here, so she blew up some waves, not too big, but I tell you this, they're so typically in August in North Carolina, we have small surf. It's usually shore break, which means it's great for the kids divisions because there's small surf, it's in close. But this year, you had the option of either swimming out like 20, 30 yards and trying to catch that outside break or coming in close and catching the shore break. So by the time my division rolled around, we started, I think, like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. They started doing heats. By the time my heat came around, pretty much everybody was on the inside. So there wasn't a whole lot of swimming involved. This was mostly just catching some of that shore break, but had a blast.
So explain to me how it works. You're just going out and catching waves, and how do you win?
So yeah, okay. So it's body surfing. So
Yeah.
most of us, myself and my fellow competitors, we're surfers. We're board surfers. There's some boogie boarders and even the occasional knee boarder, which is kind of having a moment right now, a comeback. But basically, you are judged. There's a panel there. I think there's three judges, and you're judged on I think it's your top three rides. You're judged by length of ride as well as the tricks that you do in the wave. So you can do spinners and you can some different things you can do in order to get points. Now, because this
Wow.
is the Wamparama, you also get points for being obnoxious or over the top. So I wore once a year I break out my jorts, and these are some Daisy, the guy version of Daisy Duke jorts, so jean shorts, pretty obnoxious cutoffs. That's my standard attire now. I feel like they're my lucky shorts, my lucky jorts. I seem to win when I wear those, so that's my thing right now. You get points for running over your competitors as opposed to in
Oh,
most body surfing competitions or other competitions. There's a sequence and there's an order, and you definitely do not run other people over. But yes, running people over is actually encouraged, and you get points for that. So it's a little bit different. It's more of a fun kind of it's got this kind of punk rock sort of background history to it, but more of a West Coast thing than an East Coast thing. But we had a blast. We have a
that's
blast every
fun.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just love it. We have the oldest dirt division. So anybody who's wondering is 50 and older. So we've had people, as I think Alex said, there was somebody one year in their 90s. And that is my goal, is to be surfing Surfarama or Wamparama, excuse me, in my 90s. So I'm 60. I got a long ways to go. It's 30 more years of trying to hold on to first place.
Yeah.
Uh,
In those same shorts.
in those same jorts. That's right. So I got to keep the same waist size and
Yeah. Yep.
not get much bigger. Right. Right. Or smaller for that matter.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we had a blast.
That's fun.
Alrighty. Well, Jess, let's switch gears here. We're going to talk about strength training, but before we get there, let's do this. Let's share a client win. I think that's something I'd like to do on these podcasts where I'm talking to you guys coaching. I'm talking to you coaches. Who's a win for you this year? What client do you want to share with us?
Uh, gosh, there's so many really. I mean, I feel like as soon as you sign up in a month, I could give you a
Yeah.
client win. Let me think. I spoke with one client today. She's now an alumni client, which we can talk about that later. But
Yep.
we had a check-in today, and she signed up with us, a female, about 56 years old. She signed up with us when her husband bought it for her as a
That's right.
gift. I
Yeah.
think I think it was right around Christmas,
Yeah.
and she signed up. I think she was excited about it. It wasn't a bad gift or anything like that. But he was a podcast listener, and he was already strength training and doing his own thing, and he thought it would be good for her to start. So she worked with us, or I worked with her, I should say, for 6 months. Her name's Michelle. She was very good, really easygoing. She had never lifted weights before and hadn't worked out. I don't know if she ever had a regular workout routine before getting started with us, but she started with a program that she could just do at home because they have a whole home gym set up. And she followed along with her 3 to 4 strength workouts a week. She followed our metabolic restoration plan to a T.
Right on.
Even
I
that
love those
y
clients. Yeah.
yeah, even when your brain's telling you you shouldn't be eating that much food,
Right.
she chucked right along with it, and she hit her goal weight within a couple months.
Right on. I love it.
Yep, yeah,
Yeah.
and she stuck with the program for 6 months. She did great. She did her weekly check-ins. She was really happy with the way that she looked and that she felt, and they have grandkids, and I remember over the spring, maybe it was around Easter time, they set up her and her husband set up, like, a whole Nerf gun, like, war battle. Like, she got all of these bullets, they set up all of these barriers, and they had teams, and she said normally she would just sit out, and watch all the grandkids play, but she played the whole time,
Yeah.
running around and things like that. Just really makes you appreciate your health and being strong and able to do those sort of things with your kids and your grandkids.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I mean, obviously, Michelle's a great hats off to Michelle. She was a fantastic client, like you said. Some clients we have to kind of pull them along, or they come along kicking and screaming. Others are very, very compliant. They're like, okay, look, I trust you. Tell me what to do. What
Hmm.
I've been doing hasn't been working. But I do, yeah, those clients that just are willing to trust the process. But obviously we want to help them reach whatever their body composition goals are, but I love hearing those things like, normally I wouldn't have gotten involved, I wouldn't have been able to play, I wouldn't have been running around and, interacting with my very active grandchildren all day long. I love those kinds of stories. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
hats off. Hats off to
Yeah.
both of you. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
So
So
I
she was a
want
fun
to,
one.
well, actually, I'm going to share one of my client wins because you reminded me as you were telling that story. But I want to talk a little bit. You said you had mentioned that she is now in our alumni program. Just so people know, we have this 6-month framework that we coach our clients. So when you come in, you're in this 6-month program. If you're not aware, it's got 3 phases. There's a pre-diet phase where we're really working on metabolic restoration and optimization. There's a fat loss phase, which is what it sounds like. That's your diet. And then there's a post-diet phase where we're really looking more at getting you back to that healthy metabolism. Because every time you are in a diet, you are digging that metabolic hole a little bit deeper. So we got to get you back out of there. But we're really looking at more of these lifestyle integration things, right? How are you going to maintain this new body composition for the rest of your life? So that's the framework in a nutshell. But then a couple things can happen after that, right? We have clients that they graduate from that. So
Hmm.
they can go on their own. They've got that framework. They can rinse and repeat, or they can just go on maintenance. They've got a lot of options from there. But if they want to stay in our ecosystem, some of them will opt to go into what Jess has said called the alumni program. So that's basically people that still want to have their coach. So Michelle is still assigned to Coach Jess, and as opposed to meeting weekly, they meet monthly as opposed to just doing specific programming for her. Michelle is now just self-selecting out of a library of workout programs for herself, but she still has text access. So she's still in the app. She still has text access to her coach, so she can ask questions,
Hmm.
things like that. We also have another option for people that graduate. We call it our library, Silver Edge Library program. And basically that's for people who now you don't have your coach anymore, so you wouldn't still have, so for example, if Michelle went into that program, she wouldn't still have access to Coach Jess, but she has access to the full library of our workouts, and she maintains all of her workout history. So every time she's done a squat or a bench press or a lunge, she can look and see, oh, okay, last time I did that, I did 10 reps with 50 pounds and
Hmm.
this many sets, this many reps, all that good stuff. So a couple of different ways that people can continue, but I wanted to share a client win with you. And this is one that's graduated and is now in our library program. And this is Justin. So Justin came, let's see, he graduated and moved over to the library program probably a couple months ago. But he was a really fun one. He came in, I want to say he's early 50s, and he was just looking to, I think maybe he had a little bit of that dad bod thing kind of happening, right? He didn't have a lot of weight to lose, but he just more was in that kind of skinny fat. He was already working out, but he just couldn't get it figured out. It's like, dude, I want to look like I lift,
Hmm.
basically. I'd like to lose some fat, build some muscle. So very, very common avatar of clients for us. He's
Yeah.
kind of frustrated. He felt like, man, I'm doing everything right. What's going on here? You take the reins. Let's see if what you have works. So we get underneath the hood, and turns out, lo and behold, Jess, I know you see this coming. He's under eating.
Hmm.
He is wildly under eating. I should have looked it up before I got on here, but I think his average was maybe 1,700 calories a day. He's a
Oh,
fairly big
wow.
dude,
Yeah.
but look, he's a salesman. He's in the car all the time. He's on the go. He's one of those go, 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 go kind of people. He's hitting the gym. I think he was hitting the gym 5 days a week. So first things first, in his pre-diet phase, I said, dude, we got to get you to eat some more food. He's like, okay, but I'm looking to lose a little of this fat, remember? I'm like, yeah, trust me. So he tweaked his workouts because he was going pretty hard. He's like, man, I've got to be in the gym 5 days a week because it's my happy place. That's where I decompress. I'm like, okay, but we're going to make at least one of those days a functional day where I'm going to be checking up on you. I want functional movement, and I don't want you. We're not trying to get stronger on that day. We're trying to improve mobility. We're trying to, and increase ranges of motion, things like that. So we gave him a mobility day, a functional mobility day. We gave him 4. I think we started with upper, lower, pretty common programming. But the big thing we did was just say, hey, man, I need you to bump up your protein, and I need you to start bumping up your calories. By the time we got up close to 2,000 calories, he's like, I'd be on my weekly check-in calls. And for a few weeks in a row, he's like, dude, I can't eat this much. I just can't. And said, I'm finding it a hard time. I was like, okay, let's talk about that. Let's take it apart. I see you're having these really light breakfasts. Let's get ahead of the game here, man. Let's
Yeah.
get some calories here. Let's get some protein here. He's having a tough time hitting that protein goal as well. And wouldn't you know it, by the time he graduated, the dude is just, I mean, he was sending me his videos. He's sending me these texts all the time. He's like, dude, PR on this, my leg press, or, he really loved leg day. He was really getting into moving heavier and heavier and heavier weights. But yeah, for him, the real win was, oh, I can eat 2,500 calories and have the body that I want and be really, really strong, look good, feel good, and go about my day. So yeah, that's my client win. I love those clients where, especially us dudes sometimes we feel like we're doing everything right. Why do we still have the dad bod? Why do I still have this midsection, And why don't I look like I left? I'm living in the gym. I'm in there 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just these small tweaks that make
Mhm.
a huge difference. Now, let me back up and say it's these small tweaks done consistently, right? It's these small
Right.
behavior changes done over time that have a compounding effect and have these dramatic end results. But yeah, in 6 months, he was like, man, dude, thank you. I got it from here. And he's got the library program and is just chugging along.
I love that. And you know what I love, best part is when you're telling people you get to eat more food and they're like, "What?" You
Yeah.
know, it
Yeah.
and but I do think one thing for our listeners to understand is we're not telling you like, "Okay, you have to eat you're eating 2,400 calories, eat whatever you want." We help you figure out a specific
Yeah.
breakdown of exactly what you should be
Good
eating.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can't be Pop-Tarts and Coca-Colas
Yeah.
and beers. Sorry, guys.
Right.
It can't. Yeah, now that's not to say any of those things have to be off limits, right? If
Right.
look, one of my non-negotiables is I will eat a Pop-Tart every day. Okay, we gotta factor in.
Yeah.
It's probably not the healthiest habit. Maybe we can work on that over time. Or, we get clients quite often where their non-negotiable is I'm gonna have a glass of wine every night,
Mhm.
or a couple, or I'm gonna have 2 glasses of wine every weekend night, or something. So we
Right.
have people that come in, or, I'm a dessert person, and we don't want to say never have those because that's that restrictive mentality. It leads to that all or nothing thinking, well, I can't have it. And then when I do, oh, well, now I've screwed up. I might as well, why go to the gym, right? If things,
Mhm.
so but you're right. We want to say, hey, let's eat some more food. And for most people, and by most, I might mean all, or darn close to all, for most people in our program, at least, that eat more is going to be protein. Most over 50, 60-year-olds we have in our program are coming to us under eating protein. You've probably heard us say it all the time. Our recommendation is 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. So if you're a dude, you're 200 pounds, you wish you weighed 175, let's stair step you up to close to 175 grams of protein a day. Similarly, a
Mhm.
lady, if you weigh 150, you wish you weighed 125, let's stair step you up to 125 grams of protein a day. Most people are really surprised at how much protein that is,
Yeah.
right?
And a lot of people think they're eating a lot of
Yes.
protein, and when we
Yes.
actually have them tracking their food, you find they're
They're
eating.
shocked, and we're
Yeah,
shocked. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll have people when they tell me they eat, "Oh, I'm eating a lot of protein." I say, "Okay, tell me." And they're like, "I have 2 eggs in the morning with a piece of
Mhm,
toast." And I'm like, "Okay, that's 12 grams of protein. Maybe, add the toast in. Okay. We'll round up and say somehow miraculously you got 20. You didn't, but let's just say it's 20 grams. Go on." And they're like, "Yeah." And then for lunch, I have maybe a salad with chicken on it. And most people aren't saying, they're saying like a deli sandwich maybe, or something. But okay, so let's just generously say 15 to 20 grams protein, and we'll generously say you're at 40. And then at dinner, yeah, I'm going to have, I'm going to have some fish and some vegetables and a starch. Okay, maybe we'll be generous and say 30. So you're at 70. we want you at 140, right?
Yeah.
You're halfway there. Now what? And so, yeah, people are very often they're surprised at how much protein that is. And look, there's a number of reasons why we feel that protein is the most important macronutrient when it comes to body composition and healthy aging. But we are combining this higher protein diet with strength training, which is what we're getting ready to talk about here. And as we get older, it gets a little tougher to build that lean muscle mass, to burn that fat. And protein and strength training combined together is basically our metabolic magic bullet. It's what's
Hmm.
really going to help us get this long-term permanent body composition change most of us are looking for, right? If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably somebody that said, hey, I'd like to lose a little fat and build a little muscle. I'd like to look a little better, move a little better, feel a little better, right?
Right.
So, with that being said, Jess, let's talk about strength training, resistance training, lifting weights.
Hmm.
But let's start here. Let's have a discussion around what we mean when we say strength training or resistance training or weightlifting. What are we talking about? Let's talk about what we mean and what we don't mean by that word.
Good question, or, good way to start. I do think people get a little wary when they hear strength training
Yeah.
because what they picture is big, strong people in the gym with these huge weights on their barbells and two spotters on each side of them as they're trying to do a squat, or a bench press or something. And what we mean could be two dumbbells and some resistance bands in your garage. Um,
Yeah. There
just some sort of weight.
Yes. So you're right. I think there is a stereotype when we think of strength training, guys would probably think automatically of like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's pumping iron, he's big, and there's a caricature to that as well. We're going to kind of dispel a little bit of that as we go along. But yeah, so strength training doesn't have to be big, sweaty men or intimidating, bulky women. But what we're talking about is a form of exercise that's structured. It has a program and it involves resistance. So resistance training, very typically the tools that we use for that are dumbbells and barbells. There's machines, right? We can
Mhm.
use machines. You had mentioned bands. I think that's another great form of resistance training is using bands. But it's what it sounds like. It's lifting weights. Now, what it's not is things like a class. So it's when we're
Right.
talking about the weight in the context, Justin and I are getting ready to discuss starting out in strength training. Here's what it's not. It's not F45. It's not Orange Theory. It's not CrossFit, Beachbody, P90X, or any kind of boot camp style training. Those things appropriately dosed, there's nothing wrong with those. But that's
Right.
not what we're talking about. Because very, very often, just like people will say, yeah, I'm eating a lot of protein, and then we'll go through and they're not eating a lot of protein. People will say to me, yes, I do strength training. I do strength training 5 days a week. And then when I ask them what that looks like, they're like, oh, it's the booty burn boot camp around the corner here. And I say, okay, well, tell me what does it look like? What workout did you do today? Oh, well, I did 45 seconds of squats, and then we moved over. We did 15 seconds of jump rope, and then we moved back, and we're lifting weights, we're curling for 30 seconds, and then it's 45 seconds of this, and then 15 seconds of that, and then it's a minute of this, and then 30 seconds of that. That's circuit training. That's
Mhm.
basically aerobics with weights.
Right.
Again, nothing wrong with that, appropriately dosed, but that's not what we're talking about here. One of the hallmarks of strength training or resistance training in the context we're going to describe here is rest.
Yeah.
So one of the things that makes strength training is your rest between sets.
Mhm.
So Jess, do you want to take a stab at just describing what a set is and what a rep is and just kind of what that might look like for somebody who just doesn't really have a context of what we're talking about when we say sets and reps?
Yeah, sure. So your sets are the number of times you're going to do, let's just use bench press as an example. So in your program, you might see that you're doing 3, and then there's a multiplication sign, an X, times 8. And 3 is the number of times you're going to do bench press, and you're going to do 8 reps every time that you do it. And then there's going to be rest in between there. So, because you might look at that and say, well, I'll just do 24 bench press, right? Because
Knock
3
them all
times
out.
8 is
Yeah.
24, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing 24 total, but you wouldn't be able to do the same weight for 24 reps in a row that you could do if you broke it down into 3 sets of 8. So that's kind of changing that cardio with weights to strength training. So,
Excellent. Yes.
yeah, your set of 8, we would have you do 3 sets of 8 and then between each set, you would have a designated rest period that is usually 1 to 2 minutes,
Excellent.
which would give you enough time to recover your muscles to recover so that you're feeling fresh when you go into that next set.
Absolutely. So, yeah, when we say rest is one of the hallmarks of resistance training, that's exactly right. So, in Jess's example, you have 3 sets of 8 repetitions of the bench press. You might do those 8 reps. You're going to do a bench press 8 times. Then you're going to rack the barbell or put down, or if you're doing with dumbbells, put your dumbbells down. And then you're literally going to rest. And let's just say for our purposes here is 1 minute. So for 60 seconds, you're going to look at the clock, or maybe you're one of our clients, you're looking at your app and it's got a countdown timer on you, right? Because you
Yep.
just put in there, I did 8 bench press at 50 pounds. And then as soon as you click submit, a 1 minute countdown timer is going 59 seconds, 58 seconds. And you're not going to do push-ups. You're not going to run in place. You're not going to do
Mhm.
jumping jacks. You're going to sit or
Yeah.
walk. I like to kind of pace and kind of get my game face on, get ready for the next set. And we're resting for 60 seconds. Then we're going to go back to our bench press and we're going to do another set of 8. And then we're going to rest a minute. And we're going to do a set of 8. We're going to rest a minute. And then we're probably going on to the next exercise, right? So
Mhm.
that's a really good breakdown of what we mean just as a framework when we're talking about strength training. Now, without getting too far into the weeds, I should probably let's just talk about there. So there's different types of strength training, and it doesn't take much imagination to meet me here. But basically, when we talk about resistance training, we can break it into a couple of big groups. There's resistance training for strength.
Mhm.
That's going to be very low reps, but very heavy weights with long rests. So, for example, let's stay with a bench press here. So, in that case, I might do 5 sets of 3 repetitions and I might
Mhm.
rest 2 minutes in between. So,
Yep.
this is a very heavy weight. Maybe I can only lift it 4 times. I'm just going to lift it 3. Then I'm going to rack it. I'm going to rest for 2 minutes.
Mhm.
Then I'm going to do another set of 3, very much more exertion, very, very heavy, doing low reps. So that's building absolute strength. Then we move into hypertrophy training, which is what is probably a good place for most of us to start. This is what most bodybuilders are doing. And this is a medium weight at a medium rep range with a medium rest. Very, very classic, like Jess said, staying with our bench press, 3 sets of 8 to 12, let's just say somewhere in there with about a minute of rest in between. That's going to be the hallmark of what we would call hypertrophy. You would do that for body composition change. That's for muscle size and definition, right? And then there is, as we continue on that spectrum, there is muscular endurance training, which is more of a high rep, low weight, and very short rest. Now
Mhm.
that's getting closer to that kind of class we were just describing. So that might be 20 reps with a very low weight. Let's say on the bench press, I'm going to do 20 or 25 reps. I'm going to
Yep.
rack it. I'm going to rest for 15 seconds and go again at a very low weight. Again, that's not really what we're talking about here. We're going to talk more in that strength and that hypertrophy phase and why you might choose one of those over the other. But at any rate, there's I guess a definition of what we mean when we say strength training and I think probably sets the stage. Now, Jess, why would somebody, and let's just for example, why would a 55-year-old woman, we'll just call her Mrs. Smith, come into our program? She's like, okay, I've been listening to this podcast for a while. I've been trying all these diets and nothing seems to work. It seemed like when I was in my 30s, 40s, I'd just go on a diet and I'd magically lose weight. It's not really working for me now. When she hears us talk about strength training, why should she consider going to a gym, a scary gym with lots of young people in spandex and music playing? Why would she consider going there and lifting weights?
Good question. I think this is kind of has 2 answers, right? I mean, there's many different correct answers, but for our clients that come in, 1, you wanna look better and feel better, right? And as you and I have talked about before, muscle is your organ of longevity. So the more muscle you have, overall healthier you're going to be, and you can be more active, move around more. You can stand up and down out of a chair without any issues and things like that. So you want to go start lifting. start establishing a strength routine just so that you can do your basic function. As you're getting older and you're losing muscle, you want to be able to carry your grocery bags in from the car, but eventually, as you're getting older, these things do become more difficult. And I've seen this with my parents, just little things, getting things from a cabinet that's a little high up and being afraid just getting a salt shaker down, that's going to, you're going to pull muscle that way, or lugging out the Christmas decorations in your Rubbermaid bin.
Yeah.
Just little things that you're doing around the house that aren't maybe part of your everyday task, but you want to be able to do those for the rest of your life. And you don't realize it as you've gotten into your 50s, you've lost a lot of this muscle. So just because you did it last year doesn't necessarily mean next year you're going to be in the same shape. And I feel like a lot of our clients have woken up one day and they've realized, like, gosh, these simple things I used to be able to do, I can't do anymore. And they think maybe I need to lose weight, maybe I need to take more walks, like increase my cardio. And the answer is really strength training. You need to start building up that muscle that you lost, or creating new muscle that you maybe never had, and you're getting in better shape now than you were in your 30s and 40s. It speeds up your metabolism, allowing you to eat more and be properly fueled just to get through your day.
Yeah.
I've a lot of clients I talk to that are, when we first start working together, that are in their 50s and 60s, they say they feel tired. They they feel tired a lot and they don't have much energy. They take naps, or they're retired and their favorite thing is that they're taking naps. I'm like, we don't need to be taking that many
Yeah.
naps.
Uh-huh.
A properly fueled body is a healthy body.
Oh, I
So,
love that. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
in order to do that, you have to strength train.
Got to strength train. All right. So I heard a ton of things in there that I absolutely love. I love that you start with, yes, aesthetics, but because most of our clients are, we have clients come in and say, hey, I want to be strong, fit, and mobile and be able to get down on the floor, play with grandkids. I want to be able to wrestle and do all these things. But the majority of them come in and say, hey, I'm trying to lose this weight and I've been unsuccessful. And can you help? So
Mhm.
there's an aesthetic piece to this, but that building functional strength. And you mentioned, hey, I'd like to be able to, or one of our favorite examples is on the airplane. Can you put your overhead in the overhead
Oh,
bin and
yeah,
take it
yeah.
back out? Or you gardener folks, can you lift up a bag of compost or mulch off the ground and put it on your
Mhm.
shoulder and carry it somewhere and put it down? Or does somebody have to help you do that? So it's this very functional strength that for our everyday movements. So think of a barbell squat. Well, every time I sit down and stand up, if I can do that loaded, or a dumbbell squat, right? If I practice that movement and I practice that movement loaded and I get strong doing that, functionally strong, and I can carry that forward, I'm not gonna have a problem sitting down and getting up off the toilet, right? Or
Right.
in our example of the mulch on the ground, that's basically a deadlift. A deadlift is just picking something heavy up from the ground. That might be a child, that might be a grandkid, that might be your luggage, whatever it is. That ability
Mhm.
to hip hinge, to stabilize the core and the spine, and to lift something heavy. If you could do that with a barbell, you're much more likely to have that bleed over into quality of life in other places. Now, you had also mentioned in there that people starting at 30, right? We start losing muscle mass, and there's a
Mhm.
fancy word for that. It's called sarcopenia, and it's the definition of that is actually age-related muscle loss, but it's not age so much that's causing us to lose muscle. It's us not using muscle. And now, look,
Right.
I don't want to get too nerdy, and we've done this on other podcasts. If you really are interested, let me know, and I'll send you an episode where we deep dive into this. But you basically have two different muscle types. You've probably heard them as either type 1, type 2, or slow twitch, fast twitch. As we age, we preferentially hang on to that slow twitch muscle. This is the muscle that you use when you're walking, or I'm using to you on YouTube or watching me, gesture with my arms. That I'm just using some slow twitch muscle there. Your marathon runners are the ultimate pinnacle of type 1 muscle. If you look at them, they look very frail and thin. That's type 1 muscle. Now you think about a sprinter, or, the ultimate expression of this, I suppose, would be a fitness model or a bodybuilder with all the muscle, right? That's type 2 muscle. And that's what we preferentially lose as
Mhm.
we age. And so, just as you said, hey, people might think, well, I should go on a diet and do some more cardio because that's a very typical recipe for weight loss. And maybe that's even what's worked for you in decades past. That's A, it's not going to work as well now. And B, it's certainly not going to work long term. We find that people who eat less food and do lots of cardio, lose some weight, and then gain it back 6 months later, almost inevitably. But when we strength train, we're building that type 2 muscle. It is metabolically more expensive, meaning you're going to burn more calories at rest. And I'll add this, Jess, thinking about our avatar, if we're going to say 55-year-old Mrs. Smith, she's probably menopausal, postmenopausal, and may even be osteopenia, full-blown osteoporosis, right? That's common in men and women, but more so in women in our age group. Every time we strength train in the way that we're talking about, not the class, not the endurance type stuff, but just classic strength training, we're building bone density. We're building stronger bones. So I think that's another reason why our age group should really be involved in regular strength training.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I want to finish with just the obvious reason, and that's aesthetics. You look
Yeah.
good. You feel good. You build that lean, strong, healthy, capable body that most of us would like to have. And you're just not going to get there by eating less food and doing more cardio. That's going to,
Right.
like I said, that's going to give you some temporary weight loss, but that's probably not fat loss even. That's unfortunately, that's probably going to be more muscle loss. All right. So, Jess, we've talked about what strength training is. We've talked about why somebody over 50 might want to do strength training. I want to look good. I want to feel good. I want to be healthy. I want to build that lean body, right? What's some tips for somebody to get started, especially either, yeah, I was going to say either somebody who's been out of it for a while, but let's talk about people that are brand new, because we get a lot of our clients that have never been in a gym, never
Right.
lifted a barbell. If they've done dumbbells before, it's maybe the little pink hand weights, but we have tons of people that just don't have any experience with strength training. What are some tips for getting started?
Love this. And this was actually a question that I posed to in our private Facebook page
Yep.
on Sunday. Tips for how to tell your friend to get started at the gym,
Yeah.
right? And I would advise you to go to the gym and see if you could get a tour. Most gyms will give you a free tour, and if you join, usually they'll take 1 or 2 sessions to show you how to use all the machines.
Yep.
You know, how to set it for your height and the weight that you're looking for so that you're comfortable, and maybe they'll even watch you do a couple reps of things just so that they know that you're doing it safely. If that's not an option, you could see if they have any trainers available that you could hire at least for 1 or 2 sessions. I'd say probably 3 would be best just to get you familiar with all of the different things that you could do there. Second, I would say find a program that you can follow so that you're not going to the gym and doing the same body part, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You might feel comfortable doing some bicep curls, some squats, and some lat raises, but doing those 3 days a week. Now, I'm not saying it's bad, just saying those 3 areas are gonna get strong, but you're not changing it up, you're not changing the stimulus. Might see progress after 4 weeks, but then you might be like, "I'm not really seeing the progress I was seeing in the beginning." So, trying to find a program that hits all the body parts that you need, has some instruction on there for you, like we talked about before with a set and rep scheme, and more importantly, rest, that you have all that in there. And so when you go to the gym, you have a plan.
I absolutely love that. Having a plan. In fact, that was my number one tip, is have a plan.
Yeah.
Because look, there's a difference between exercising and working out. And look, for those of you that are exercising, that hats off to you. Fantastic. You're way ahead of everybody who's not exercising, right? And here's what I mean. Here's the distinction between the exerciser and the person who works out. The person who exercises goes to the gym and, like Jess says, probably has their favorite machines and does the same weights, the same reps every time. That's great. That's fantastic. But those people are probably not progressing. Those of you that are working out have a program. You have a plan. Okay, today's day one is my Monday workout. Well, I start this with every day with some form of a squat. I move to some sort of a lunge. I do some kind of a push, maybe an overhead press or a bench press. I do some kind of a pull. Maybe that's a inverted barbell row or some, a lat pull down machine. Then maybe I do some isolation things. Maybe I do some bicep curls or some tricep work, something like that. And
Mhm.
then on day two, okay, I'm going to start with the hip hinge. I'm going to start with my deadlifts and maybe do some Romanian deadlifts. So, but there's a plan, and baked into that is this idea of progressive overload.
Mhm.
So one of the reasons why we want you to to have a plan and to have a way of recording your plan is so that when that day one rolls around, you have those squats again. Let's say they're dumbbell squats. You're going to hold some dumbbells in your hand. You're just going to squat. You're going to do it 3 sets of 10. Well, I want to know what I did last Monday. Last Monday, I did 3 sets of 10 and I held 20-pound dumbbells in my hand. Well, this Monday, I want to do 3 sets of 11. So I've added 1 rep. So that's a total of 3 reps. I'm going to do 11, 11, and 11. Still keep my 1-minute rest period in between. I kept the weight the same. And then the next week, I'm going to do 3 sets of 12. Then the next week, when I go in and those squats come along, I'm going to grab the 25-pound dumbbell. So now I've increased the weight. I'm going to drop down my reps. So I'm going to do 3 sets of 10 again. Then the next week, 3 sets of 11. So you get the idea. We're just gradually doing this slow progression. And what's happening here is, because remember, you're bumping up your protein. So you now have the building blocks on board, the material that you're going to need to build muscle is you're telling the central nervous system, hey, we have this increased demand on the body and we want to adapt for this. And I'm going to adapt for this increased demand by increasing muscle mass. So when we work out, we probably know we make these little micro tears in our muscle and then we repair them. But we don't want to just break it down and repair the muscle. We want to break down, repair, and adapt. We want to grow. So having some sort of a plan, having some sort of a program. I love the idea. If you're new to a gym, go to a gym and do take them up on the free tour. And almost all gyms have free training sessions. Yes, they're very thinly disguised sales pitches. But be that as it may, I'd take them up on it, but have some sort of a plan going in. I think that's a great one. I'll say this also, when it comes to having a plan, you should have a professionally designed age appropriate plan. And let me be careful, because when I say age appropriate, and I'm talking about 50 and 60-year-olds, very often what gets conjured up, or what I see when I go looking out at popular fitness media for age appropriate workouts, I see a whole lot of little pink dumbbells. I see a whole lot of advice like, for God's sakes, don't do a back squat or a deadlift, or here's five movements nobody over 50 should ever do. And they're typically going to be 5 movements you absolutely, certainly should do. Now, you should take the time to learn the form and do them properly, but you absolutely, look, when somebody says you shouldn't barbell squat or deadlift or any movement for that matter, basically what they're saying is surrendering very, very basic human movement. And I would argue that I want to be strong in a full range of motion in a very basic movement like a squat for as long as possible.
Yes.
Jess, you with me on that?
Yes,
I
100%.
thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and we're also not telling you have to go in to the gym and deadlift 200 pounds and hurt yourself. You could deadlift a 20-pound dumbbell
and we have clients that start
build from there.
deadlifting with like a band.
Yeah.
Literally a band that they're standing on and they're just going to hip hinge.
Yeah. And it's just learning how to pick up something correctly.
Yes.
And a couple times a week you're doing it with a weight, so that those days that you're not doing that at the gym, when you go to pick up your grandkid or a big heavy box that got delivered, that you can do it properly.
You've practiced that movement.
Yes.
And you practice it in a controlled environment, loaded, and you can appropriately dose that loading. That's yes. So I think that's another tip that I would say is for those of you that are beginning or even coming back to resistance training from some time, is focus on form. So I talked a lot about progressive overload. That's very important. You're not going to build muscle without it, not significantly. But as you start out, your main focus should be on movement, should be on form, on correct form, and practicing a full range of motion. I mean, you can go into any Globo gym in the world, watch somebody put a barbell on their back and do what I like to call a quarter squat or a half squat.
Yeah.
They're half repping. They're not, a squat would be where your hip hinge is parallel or below your knees. So that's a full range of motion. If you can't do a body weight squat in a full range of motion, let's start there. Let's perfect that movement. Let's get strong and mobile through that full range of motion, doing body weight squats before we start to load. And the same goes for any other movement, right? If I feel pain when I do something, or just I don't have that, I'm not comfortable in that full range of motion, let's practice that movement, get the central nervous system to adapt to that movement, to learn that movement, to get good at that movement, get good at that full range of motion. Then we'll start adding load, and then we'll slowly over time increase the load, right?
Yeah, correct. I have so many clients that there's always a weighted squat, a weighted lunge, a weighted step up. I mean, I'd
Sure.
say in 90% of our programs,
Yes.
you're gonna see those movements somewhere in there.
Yes.
Those are probably the 3 biggest movements that my clients will say, "I can't do that, it feels awkward," or maybe my knee hurts when I'm going to do this. So I say, "Don't do it with weight, just start out doing it body weight with no weight, get comfortable with that movement." And so many of them will try to get me to just, "Can you put in a squat instead, or can you put in something else?" And I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
because these are the most
Yeah.
functional basic
Yeah.
movements."
We see
You
that on
know
lunges a lot, don't we?
Yes,
So it's
all
like,
I was gonna bring that up before. Yes, all the
yeah,
time, they don't c
I
"What
hear
can I
too
do
with my,
instead of lunges?" I'm like,
yeah.
"Lunges."
What can I do instead of lunges? You could do more lunges and
Yes.
get better at
It's
100%.
that's gotta be one of the most functional movements that
Sure.
most people don't realize, like, you're just down, if you're on the floor and you go to get up, you're in a lunge position, walking up a hill, walking up the stairs, all of those things, you're in that position. I mean, do you
Yeah.
have to do it with weight? Not until you're completely comfortable, and it really only takes a couple weeks before getting a message from my client, like, "I was able to add weight for my lunges today," and,
Yeah.
and they just progress, and before you know it, after 6 months, they're able to do it with, 5 times the weight that they did that first month, but it's, most of our movements are pretty functional. If
Yeah,
there's
that's,
something in there that's
yep.
not and somebody can't do it, I'll say, "Well, we can skip that," and
Right.
put in
Yeah.
something else, but most of our movements are very functional and apply right to your
To real
day-to-day
life.
living. Mhm,
100%. Yeah. So that's a great point. So when we talk about age appropriate programming, we are more we are more interested than say a 20-year-old who's just worried about their physique. And look, it's not hard to be to look badass when you're in your 20s, right? You've got some hormonal advantages there. When we're 50 and 60, and so I'm 60, we got clients in our 60s, we've got clients even in our 70s. But as we start to get a little more mature, we really want to focus on functional strength. I want to be able to rotate in a loaded fashion. I want to be able to do these unilateral leg movements like lunge, like
mm,
step ups, things like that, under load and get strong in those. I want to be able to lift things over my head. I want to be able to push things away from me, pull things towards me. So we do have a emphasis, more of an emphasis on functional movements than maybe most programs do, which is by design. So, like Jess said, all of our clients, 100%, we're going to start with large, gross, compound functional movements. And there are, gosh, I'm going to bring this up now. I'm going to put myself on the spot. There are 7 primal movements that the human body is designed to do and do well. They are, let's see if I can get all 7 here. And Jess, I might need your help, and maybe we'll have to Google this if I don't get them all. But it's going to be squat, lunge, hinge, push, pull, twist, and gait. Okay, there's all 7. So basically, squat is what it sounds like, right? I want the ability to ask to grass squat. If you look at a kid, your grandkid, the way they squat when they play, you try that. You get down in that position for 30 minutes. Get down in that
mhm,
position for 30 seconds. It's most of us have lost that ability. So having strength in that very functional movement, a squat, a lunge, being able to, like Jess said, a lot of our clients, they struggle with this one, being able to step out and then lower yourself with control and come back up with strength. That's a very, very human, basic movement. A hip hinge or hinge is bending at the waist and maintaining that stable core and neutral spine and picking something up. Very, very, again, don't surrender that lightly. Push is anytime you're pushing anything away from you, whether that's like a bench press or an overhead press. Tricep work is also a push type thing. Pull, if you're pulling something towards you, whether it's
mhm,
overhead or in front of your body. Of course, being able to twist, to rotate the trunk, very, very functional, being able to do that loaded. Think about people our age, oftentimes the way they get hurt is bending over and picking up a golf ball on the golf course, or
Oh, wow.
bending around in the
Yeah.
back seat and getting something out of there.
Yes.
They're not loaded. They're just doing a movement that they're very weak in. They don't have the
Mhm,
musculature or the muscle memory to perform those movements safely. And by practicing these things over and over again, not only do we get stronger, we get better at these movements, we just become more injury proof. And I'll say this also, I've had a number of clients come in and say after a month or 2 of strength training, like, wow, that knee pain that I've had forever and just thought that's a part of growing old, or that low back nagging pain, not injury, but just nagging pain is gone.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's one of the things that happens when you focus on strength training.
Yeah. I mean, it really just has so many benefits,
It does.
and it doesn't have to be huge, heavy barbells. It can just be dumbbells and bands. But
Dumbbells and bands.
yeah,
Good. Yep.
it
Yep.
is, and one movement I'll say, once you've been a client with us for 6 months, you've
I
definitely
think I
seen the
know where you're
Turkish
going
get up.
with this one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Turkish get up. And
Turkish get
yeah,
up.
one of the most
And
functional movements
yeah,
known to man.
and if
And
you
we'll
don't know what it
go
is,
ahead.
Google
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
if you Google it and you think there's no way I could ever do that, then you should definitely hire us. We will help you.
We will
But
help you because it's
yeah,
going to come up sooner
it
or later.
is.
You're going to
Yeah.
do a Turkish get up. Yes.
Yeah, and I have so many clients like, "I can't do that," I'll start them with progressions, like
Yeah.
different progressions, but I'm like, it's laying on your back on the floor and getting to standing.
Right.
Um, when we do it as a strength movement, you are holding a weight in your arm.
Right.
So,
And
there is that.
one arm
Yes,
straight. Right.
one arm
So you're
straight. So
locked at the
there is that
elbow.
strength component. But, I mean, at some point, you're gonna find yourself laying on the ground and having to get up. I mean, you also get out of bed every day, but this is, at some point, you're gonna be on the floor having to get yourself up, and that Turkish get up will make you strong as heck when it comes to doing that.
Yeah, yeah, we need to crown that the king of the over 50 functional movements,
Yeah.
right? I just love that. I'll tell you what, we'll do you one better. Yes, hire us and you will become good at that, I promise.
Yes. Yep.
I've got a YouTube video where I break this down, right? Because this is a common one for people to struggle with because it's complicated. There's a number of movements. I'll put that in the show links. You guys can find that here, a hyperlink to that. You can link to that and see what it is. And in that video, I kind of break down step by step. And that YouTube video is designed for you to do it along with me. So you just prop your phone up and you're watching it and you kind of learn that movement. But if you're not familiar with the Turkish get up, strongly suggest you go out and play with that one. And now, Jess, before we move on here, I want to talk about some resources for somebody who wants to get started here. And I want to start by, because we talked about going to the gym and how it can be intimidating for somebody over 50, over 60. We did, I can't remember, it might have been a solo episode. I can't remember, but I did an episode and it's titled The Over 50 Guide to Gym Intimidation. So that's a podcast episode. I think I did about a year ago. I will also throw that into the show notes for this episode. You guys can find that there. Go back and listen to that. But I would encourage you, if you're on the fence about joining a gym and because you're kind of nervous, and rightfully so, right? I can tell you, and I think in that episode, I share my personal stories. I didn't walk into a gym until I was probably mid to late 40s, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was terrified.
Mm.
By that point in my life, I was less overweight and much more just very, very weak. I just lost not a bunch of weight, but a decent amount of weight. I was very skinny fat, so I had quite a belly, but my arms and legs were stick skinny. I had zero strength. It was very, very intimidating for me. But I will tell you this, even if you think about Globo Gym and Dodgeball, um, most gym environments are some of the friendliest places on the earth. And if you ask the biggest, strongest, most intimidating man or woman in that gym for some help, I promise you have a friend for life. Because look, that person didn't get that way by not falling in love with the gym. That
Right.
person, if you ask them for help, you're asking them for something that they're an expert in, that they're passionate in. So check that out if you have any qualms about hitting the gym. But I want to transition here and talk about a product that we have. It is the Lean Body Blueprint workout. So let's see. I'm going to try and describe this for you. So Jess and I have both done this, right? I've done this multiple times. In fact, I still go back. This is a 5-phase workout program. So it's meant to be done over 6 months, and it's got 5 distinct phases in it. So Jess, you've gone all the way through it. Do you want to take a first crack at kind of describing what it is, and then I'll jump in with some commentary here as we go along?
Sure. It will start you in a pre-phase, which is just kind of getting you familiar with the basic movements that Kevin was talking about before, those 7 primal traits or movements. So you're doing
Yeah.
some squat, some hinging, pushing, pulling. You're going to go through all of those movements. I think the reps are pretty light in there, right? Or
Yeah,
maybe
the
2
idea
sets
that
of
phase
everything.
1, I think that's 4 weeks. And the idea
Yeah.
is to get you familiar with these movements. So the intention here is that you get big and strong and buff in the first month. It's that you practice doing a squat, you practice doing a lunge, you practice doing a bench press or these other movements, right? So this is the phase for you to kind of ease into this style of strength training. whether you're brand new to it or you're somebody who's just been out of it for a while.
Yep. Then after that 4 weeks, it will bring you into the second phase, which is the volume phase.
Yeah.
So you'll be doing, you're comfortable with the movements now for the most part. If not, there's a video demo for every single movement, and you will do 12 to 15 reps of
Yep, I
each
think that's
movement.
about right.
So,
Yeah,
yep,
probably a minute rest is pretty. This is the volume phase. We're
yep,
just trying to get you. Now you've practiced these movements. Now we are trying to get a little bit stronger. We're still practicing the movements, but we're doing them with a little more volume, a little more intensity.
yep. And in this phase, I would say you want to be careful for people that used to hit the gym hard and now they're just getting back into it and they think they have a weight in their mind of what they should be doing. After those 12 to 15 reps and you have that minute rest, you should be ready to go. The weight shouldn't have been so heavy that you're still out of breath, not able to do the next movement. So the weight is pretty moderate.
Right.
It leaves you feeling a little fatigued, but you're ready to do your next set. So you're going through that for 4 weeks, I
It is.
believe.
I believe that one's also 4 weeks. Yeah.
And then the third phase is the strength phase, which is where you kind of really get to test and see where you're at for the next. I think that one's 4 weeks as
That
well.
one's 6 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Uh,
We get strong
Even
here. We got to
better.
give it a
Yeah,
little extra
yeah.
time. Yeah. No,
Yep,
I love it. Yeah.
yep. And I usually tell my clients, start out that first week, your reps are going to be lower. They're in the 3 to 6 or 5 to 7
Hmm.
range. So, you feel like, oh gosh, I should be doing more, but you're going to be adding weight and doing less reps with some more rest in there. So you'll feel a
Correct.
little more recovered. So really test yourself that first week, even if you're adding weight each set, and you kind of get an idea of where you're at strength wise. And our app will actually estimate for you in this product or in the app that we have. It will estimate for you what it thinks your 1 rep max is. So it kind of tells you each week where you fall strength wise, which is a great tool that we have. So after that strength phase, you're going to be feeling pretty strong at the end of those 6 weeks, probably be pretty hungry. So make sure you're eating enough protein. And then you get to move into the hypertrophy stage, which you're in that 8 to 12 rep range. It's a nice break after the strength phase, but you kind of really start to see your muscles, I think,
Hmm.
in that phase more than anything. You're gonna be surprised at how much stronger you are doing those 8 to 12 reps than you were at the volume phase, that phase 2 where you were
Right.
doing 12 to 15. All of a sudden, you're gonna be able to do more weight than you were doing in that phase and, doing 12 reps, no problem.
Yep.
Um, yep,
100%.
and
I
then
think that one's also 6 weeks as well. So I think the strength and the hypertrophy phase are both
6
6 week
weeks.
training blocks.
Yes, and then my favorite phase is the,
Is that your
pump
favorite one?
phase.
The pump
Yeah,
phase? Okay.
pump
Yeah.
phase.
Everybody has a
Um,
favorite phase. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's the maybe it's because it was the 5th one, but I really liked it. It's kind of taking a break from barbells. It's mostly dumbbells in that
Hmm.
phase, dumbbells and bands, kettlebells, doing all different types of supersets. And the first week I did it, I was like, "Kevin, this is too hard. I think we need to change. We're doing
Yeah.
Bulgarian split squats." And you said, "I think you're going too heavy," because every
Adjust the
coach
load.
needs a
Yeah.
coach. Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, you're right." So you are backing down off the weights a little bit, but all of a sudden you really do get this muscle pump from that phase. And when you finish, you kind of do see this full body transformation.
Yeah. So there you go. I, it is a 5 phase program. Takes 6 months to roll through there, right? So it is
Hmm.
a 6 month program. It comes in the app, and I think the app, as just mentioned, of course, there's a video demonstration of everything you're asked to do in there. I think one of the cool things in there, because obviously we all use the app as well, it's the same app our clients use, same for their workouts. But one of the really cool things is you've heard us talk a lot about the timing, the rest periods in between sets. So like Jess is saying, when she's in that strength phase and she's got a 2 minute rest, she'll do her squats. And as soon as she puts in there, I did 3 squats at 150 pounds and hits enter, it's going to go 2 minutes, a minute 59, a minute 58. So it's going to actually, and then it's going to ding, time to go, let's go, next
Hmm.
set. And all that's built in for you. So this takes all the guesswork out of what you should do, tells you exactly what to do, how many reps, how many sets, what your rest periods, all that's baked in for you. And in addition, you have all of that history. So you get to
Yep.
see, like Jess said, hey, after you're going to do a volume phase, and then you're going to do a strength phase, and then you're going to come back to this hypertrophy phase. but some of those movements are going to be the same, right? You're always going to be doing some type of a squat, some type of a deadlift, some type of a bench press or press, some type of a pull or row. And you get to see how that history of your strength is over time, right? So
Mhm.
you get to see how you get stronger in a bench press, stronger in a squat, stronger in these lunge type movements. So
Yeah.
there you go. That is, I think that's a really good description of what that is. So for those of you, now I will say this program does require a gym. You or a well-equipped home gym. If
Yeah.
you have a home gym with a squat rack, you're set. I think there's a couple cable movements
There
in
are
there,
some cable movements
lat
in
pull
there that
downs,
you
things
can
like
do
that
with
that you could
bands, yeah.
probably substitute for if you didn't have that equipment. This is not a home workout though. If you've got just some dumbbells or a kettlebell laying around, this would not be appropriate. I'll also say that if you go to, say, a Planet Fitness, a place that does not allow back squats, deadlifts, bench presses with a barbell, things like that, you'll also have to modify. You could still do deadlifts with dumbbells. You could still do bench presses with dumbbells. You could do your squats with dumbbells. But there is a barbell is a is a very, very basic piece of strength training equipment. Not really sure why some gyms don't allow them, but that's another story for another day. But you do need a gym membership or, like I said, a well-equipped gym to do this.
And the good thing is with the program that we have in the app, if you get to the gym and, you need to sub out a movement, you can click right on that movement and search for an alternate exercise, and another
Correct.
exercise will come
Yeah.
up, and you can help find that body part that you were going to be doing, and change it. And it
Yeah.
is a 6-month program, takes about 6 months to complete. But when I went through it, and Kevin, I don't know if this was the same with you, but I mean, I had vacations, I had family visiting in town, I was doing things where I took break, and you're able to just pick up right where you leave off. You can rearrange your workout so that you can give yourself a week off
Yes.
and extend that program if you need to. You don't need to commit 6 full months, and if you miss something, you can never make it up. It's kind of self-driven at that point.
Correct. Yes, that's a great point. And like I said, the way I use this program today is I'll just reach in and do one of those phases. Like I'm probably due
Mhm.
for a strength phase. I'm probably going to this strength program because it's just tried and true. And it is, just so we're clear, it is three full body days a week. So we have made this so that the idea is that you can Jess and I have we've worked this out together where she's like, Kevin, I'm doing this and it's taking me an hour and 15 minutes. We're like, oh crap, do we have to cut something out? But the intention is that you do less than 1 hour, less than 60 minutes in the gym is the idea
Mhm.
here. So this is written to be 3 days a week. You decide what days they are. They're going to show up on your calendars, say Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Drag them and drop them wherever you want them, right? Like Jess said, if you wanted to take a week off or if you wanted to substitute exercises, all of that's available in the app as well.
Mhm. Yeah, it's 3 hours of your life each
It's
week.
3 hours a week of your life, and it is the best investment outside of really cleaning up your diet. It is the best investment you can make in your long-term health and longevity, and it is absolutely a critical piece of building that lean, healthy, strong, capable, vibrant, vital body that most of us are chasing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, folks, if you're interested in that, you can find that at go to silveredgefitness.com, click on coaching, and you'll see our one-on-one coaching. Just keep scrolling down. You'll see the Lean Body Blueprint workout. You can find that there. Sign up for that. You just basically, as soon as you sign up, you'll get an email asking you to download the app. You'll get the app. Once you have the app, you hit it day one, you'll have your workouts. You'll be able to see all of the workouts in there. We have some other resources in there as well. There's some extra credit type stuff. There's some functional mobility work. It's a little 5 to 10 minute mobility workouts. Typically, those are going to be knee, hip, and shoulder. Since those of us over 50, that's mostly what we're concerned with. I think they have a healthy library recipe which Coach Monica keeps up with. So there's some other things in the app that you guys will have access to as well. But it's the same exact app our one-on-one clients use.
Mhm. That's a great product.
Yeah, I think it's a great workout, great product. You guys are interested, like I said, roll over there, check it out. And I also say if you want to join the conversation, please join our private Facebook group. It's the Over 50 Lean Body Blueprint, same name as our as our workout program. I will say this, please, 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 there are 3 simple questions you have to answer, and you have to tick the little box saying, I agree to the terms and conditions, which terms and conditions are don't be mean. Probably don't talk politics or religion, things like that. But really, really simple. Please do that. If not, I've been denying people that are just clicking to enter. So please answer those questions. But I guess that's it, Jess. Unless
All
you got
right.
anything else for us.
I can't think of anything.
Fantastic. No, I think
Yeah.
we covered. Did pretty good. So, folks, hopefully we have left you inspired and motivated to either start or pick back up strength training. If you have any questions, any concerns, again, hit us up. We'd love to talk about it. But, Jess, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and talking with us and helping us move forward on our healthy aging journey.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure.
All righty, folks. Stay strong. Okay, that's our show for today, folks. If you've enjoyed this podcast, I want to let you know that we have other free resources over at silveredgefree.com. There you'll find our free guides with our top tips on nutrition, exercise, and healthy lifestyle to assist you in your weight loss and fitness journey. So feel free to head over there and download anything that looks useful to you. I'll put links to everything we talked about today in the show notes. You folks can find those over at silveredgefitness.com/296. As we wrap up our time together today, you can show your support for this show in 2 important ways. The first is to tell a friend about this podcast and encourage them to give it a listen. The second is for you YouTube folks to click the like and subscribe buttons, and for you podcast folks to please give this podcast a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, and be sure to subscribe and follow so you don't miss any future episodes. I really appreciate you spending your time with me today, and until next time, stay strong.